Good afternoon, mech warriors, mech techs, and nobles in hiding. It is me, Illiani, coming at you live from Canopus 4. Here we are, once again. 'Tis Tuesday, the 23rd of June, and we have work to do. So how about we switch over to IntelliJ immediately, no preamble this time, and let's crack on. So what are we going to be doing today? Well, for starters, we are going to show off some of the work we did yesterday. What work was that, Illiani? Well, yesterday we set up the initial work on Greg, the generic random event generator. And after stream, I managed to finish Greg off. Now, there are some further bits that need to be done, largely around polish, really. Give me a second, I need to fix this because Greg requires another PR. So I'm just merging that in now and quickly updating the changes that need to be changed. And then I can show you what improvements we made to Greg since you last saw me. But while we weren't going for this, this is just copy and paste. I did try to get this set up before stream. Unfortunately, I forgot that I needed this stuff. So how is everybody today? I'm doing okay. I had a pretty good night's sleep. I slept like the absolute dead, to be perfectly honest. Which it's always nice. It's always nice when you have a good night's sleep. Attribute none. There we go. Should get rid of the large bulk of those. Whoopsie doodles. Accidentally added a white space. There we are. Perfect. Any on person view? Any problems here? There looks like only a couple. We can fix that. Radar says they've noticed that Hammer's new project started. I actually haven't been keeping good tabs on what Hammer's doing right now. I've been, with me having two major projects on the docket right now, I've been very much focused in on my own stuff. Night says it's a slow day at work. At night, don't you work at the school? Aren't all the kids like off doing crime or whatever the kids do when they're not at school? Knight says that, yep, school is wonderful, where all the teachers and students are gone, just me and maintenance. Sorry for me suddenly getting distracted. My wife was sending an important message. Unfortunately, my wife timed the important message to be right when I'm literally starting work, as it were. So my wife will just have to wait. But let's launch this. I'm heading over to MekHQ, which means you guys are going into the void. Into the void we go. Let me rescue out the blackness, out of the dark pit of despair. And there we are. Loading up into MekHQ. Now I've already got this prepped. We've already got a setup where we're gonna launch. We can do this a couple of times to show you some examples. But we are going to launch MekHQ and trigger a prisoner event. Shazam! Get past all this nonsense. Blah blah blah. I don't care. Here we are. So now, as you can see, we have skill checks. We have administration, which is currently unskilled. We have something that has no skill assigned to it. And then we have negotiation, which is also unskilled. Oh no, that's bad. So let's just trigger this. And we don't really care about the consequences. Look over here, you can see that we're now making a skill check. There's still bugs, like for example, this should be saying a random event instead of missing resource. It's because it's not quite finished. But yeah, Private Luke Roberts passed their administration check untrained against a target of 10. That's good. We launch it again. We can show more examples. Start another day, another dollar. Or in this case, another day, another prisoner event. Again, administration and negotiation. I think we actually got the same event. So let's try it one more time. We'd like some different events, please, MekHQ. Unfortunately, because we're guaranteed to get a major event, there are, I think it's only 10 major events. So there we go. So as you can see here, we have a major crisis. Prisoners from rival groups have set aside their differences and formed a united front against us. So we can be unskilled. We can use an interest military, unskilled, to exploit old rivalries to shatter the alliance from within. We can use small arms veteran to retake the area with overwhelming force, or we can seal the wing and starve the prisoners of resources. Now these are actual skills. So if I just click on small arms veteran, and the assault succeeded, and then we can go over here, and we can see that we rolled an 8 versus a target number of 6, and it will do as the margin of success. But yeah, so this is basically what we were setting up yesterday, and it works perfectly fine. It's reusing a lot of assets that previously existed, so what I do need to do is I need to neaten the PR up, which is why it's not up yet. But yeah, no, we now have a generalized random event generator, and we can use this. So our next step, if after this, is now we got prisoner events transferred over. Our next step will be to go through the prisoner events and see if any of them that don't have skill checks should have an attribute check instead, because we didn't do that yesterday. But that's something I could do in my own time. We also need to then go ahead and replace all of the existing convoy roleplay events with this new event system, and then we can move on to the pièce de résistance, the cherry on the pie, cake, ice cream, whatever you like to put cherries on. The cherry is on it, and that is going to be Lost Tech caches. So this system, the reason why we're bringing Greg back is specifically to allow us to bring back Lost Tech caches. So yeah, Lost Tech caches in the new regime will not just be a scenario that you fight and then you win a beaten up mech if you don't kill it, as the old ATB scenarios used to be. So the old ATB Lost Tech cache scenarios used to be you'd get a random scenario, you'd have to fight an enemy, and the enemy was guaranteed to be piloting the potential Lost Tech. So they stole the unit, you needed to kill them to take it back. And that was a bit crap, because unless you got a lucky headshot, your chances are the enemy mech was slagged by the time you actually got to salvage it. And even if it wasn't slagged, 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't even be anything valuable. It would just be a random old Shadowhawk or whatever, no goodies on it. And while I am all for not every event being amazing, let me have some water real quick. If we're dealing with Lost Tech, we need to make that feel like we're dealing with Lost Tech. And part of what we're going to do there is, rather than it being a scenario that you do a fight, I want to have Greg, the generic random event generator. I want to use Greg to create scenes. And how you resolve those scenes will determine whether you resolve the Lost Tech cache successfully. And so what this is going to allow us to do, yes, we might have some that trigger a scenario. Cool. But really what this is going to allow us to do is encourage you folks, you wonderful humans, to have people that specialize in Lost Tech hunting. A character that you can send out on to engage in the cache, and maybe they will be more successful than others. And this is going to be based on canonical Lost Tech encounters. So you're not guaranteed to have pristine battle mechs every time you crack one open. You could find the classic crate of Star League stamped staplers. But Lost Tech comes with risk. And I really want to make sure we are encouraging that kind of risk. So, like I say, it's very early. I haven't got a design document put together yet, but I needed to have Greg set up so that I could even move forward with writing a design document, because that's going to tell me what our limitations are, what we need to work with. Knight says, so we can fight a mere company and find a vault with several regiments of Starleague era Battlemechs and a data core? Maybe not quite. Radar says, could take a page out of the cartoon where Adam Steiner goes to that old Starleague base before getting into a battle with Clan Jade and Clan Wolf. Yeah, so this is going to be something that, like, I need to sit down seriously. I need to think about this, because I want to give you guys the Lost Tech experience, but to do that I need to find a way to do it in a balanced way. And I already have a handful of writers who are going to write the stuff for me, and I'll just be the code monkey that implements it. But we need to ensure that we are not just giving you loot crates of infinite goodies. Because these Lost Tech caches should help shape your campaign. They should not... No, but let me put it this way. They should inspire the campaign narrative. They should not bind the campaign narrative. Overwhelm it. That's what we'll say. They shouldn't overwhelm the campaign narrative. Because if you're a company and you find an entire regiment of Battlemechs, that's the entire campaign just, like, broken's probably not the right word here, but that entire campaign has just completely changed. But if you open up a cache and there's a regiment of mechs that have just decayed over the years, that are completely unusable, but amongst that pile of crap that is just complete rubbish, it's a couple of 100 years old, it's not any use to anybody, it's not been maintained, it's fallen apart, it's destroyed, but amongst that pile of trash you find a crate of medium pulse lasers, or an XL engine that never got put into a mech, or maybe a pristine Highlander. Royal, of course. But this is a crate of double heat sinks, Radar says. Exactly. These are things that will help shape your campaign, but it's not me going, okay, cool, you've got a lance of mechs, here's a regiment. Because that just completely overwhelms the campaign. That dominates the narrative in a way that's not necessarily fun. Radar says that killer coordinator for a crate of double heat sinks right now. Hey Hammer, glad you could join us. We're just showing off Greg, the generic random event generator. Let's do one more Greg for Hammer, and then we will we'll move on to the mission rewrite. Ooh, do we want an unskilled investigation, administration, or can we just let the execution stand as a grim reminder of what would happen if the guards weren't around? Let's go for that. Shazam. Oh, hey, it worked. Nice. So that out of the way, let's close down MekHQ. And let's go over to IntelliJ. And then we can start the work of the day. Knight suggests option 3. I'm glad we're in agreement. So another reason why Greg has been implemented in the way it has, actually, let me boot up MekHQ back up. I do apologize. Actually, I can do this over in Discord because I have. I should have an image on Discord that I can show off. Yeah, here we go. This will save us having to boot up MekHQ. Shazam. So this is a snippet from a random event that can trigger when you have too many prisoners. What I decided to do, so you'll notice how these say unskilled, small arms veteran. They don't say the target number. So one of the very deliberate decisions I made when I implemented this system, specifically when I implemented Pest, the prisoner event system, PEST. When I introduced PEST, I made the deliberate decision to hide modifiers from the player. Because what I didn't want to happen is for the player to look at these options and then just click whichever one was the most likely to succeed. I don't want the best solution to always be obvious. Let me get some water. 1 second. There we go. I don't want the best option to always be obvious, because that just stops it from being a roleplay event where you choose what you think is going to be the best option, and it just turns into picking whichever option has the lowest target number. So here what I've done is, rather than showing you the skill, the target number, we're showing the veterancy, the experience level. So it's unskilled, veteran. And we're not showing any secret modifiers. Because there's 2 secret modifiers that actually apply to these checks. The first is the internal value as to whether the choice is is likely to have a good outcome or a poor outcome. So each option has one of 3 values. It's either a positive option, a neutral option, or a negative. And that just tells me, hey, are you more likely to succeed at this, or are you less likely to succeed? So that's the first hidden modifier. The other is actually the character's personality. A character with an overwhelmingly negative personality gets a penalty on these skill checks, whereas a character with an overwhelmingly positive personality gets a bonus on these skill checks. And that allows us to influence. So what that represents is how the character themselves would be role-played if we were at the tabletop. And this allows individual characters to influence the kind of results that they get. Commander Asshole is more likely to get negative results out of these interpersonal relationship events, whereas Lieutenant Everybody Loves Him is more likely to get positive results, even if they both had identical skills. But I don't want the player to see that. Radar says, I want the player to think what would probably be best for them rather than giving them the raw target numbers. Exactly. So that's the new Greg system. And this is coming to prisoner events, and will later be coming to Convoy, replacing the old Convoy roleplay events. That we replaced with Greg. And then, as I say, Star League caches will be coming next. I don't know if Star League caches will be finished for 51.01. The prisoner events are already finished. I just need to tidy up the PR. Convoy, the Convoy replacement, we are putting in the groundwork now. I have a couple of writers lined up, and so once they finish their homework, I'll be writing a guide to them, and then they'll be finishing their homework, and then I can come in and incorporate it and add any code support that's needed. Hannah says, I'm looking forward to Star League caches, especially if it's like what we discussed. Exactly. So it is going to be very much like what we discussed. The idea here is that you will have a roleplay event, or rather you have a StratCon quote-unquote facility that will be a Star League cache, and you send someone to the Star League cache, and that then gets resolved with an event, and then potentially a scenario depending on the results of the event. And of course, if the enemy gets to the Star League cache before you, you'll have to take it back off them. Which obviously could pit you into a very tough battle. Because if the enemy has secured a Star League cache that they're trying to crack open, they're not liable to be willing to let you have it back. And of course, then we have factors like you've got a bunch of lost tech in your campaign. If you're in the middle of 3025, there are interested parties who would like to investigate these rumors of mechs that never seem to overheat, of machines that haven't been seen since the fall of the Star League, and maybe that brings some consequences. Radar says, Comstar is calling, your bill is due. Indeed. Indeed. So watch this space. This is something I've been wanting to work on for, Starly caches, Lost Tech caches were actually intended to release, when we released convoys, but I wasn't happy with the tools that we had to bring it to life at that stage, which is where Pest then came along with the prisoner event system, and now we have Greg, and Greg is what's going to give us the tools that we need to implement what I wanted to do back in, I want to say 2024, when we introduced convoys. So again, watch this space. Cool things are coming. Unfortunately, let me go away from Discord because I see I'm getting messaged. Oh, that can wait. Unfortunately, we need to do work first. We can't do the fun stuff until we've done the not so fun stuff. So what we're doing here, let's roll out of here. We don't need these anymore. And let's scrap those. And let's head over to our working branch for abstract mission architecture. I'm having a lot of water today. I seem to be running a little bit low on salt, I guess. Or my lunch was too salty. Who can tell these days? So I am actually, before we get started on this, I'm going to go over to a website called Lucidchart. So let me take you on a ride to Lucidchart. Into the void, apparently. Let me just remind OBS where Safari lives. Actually, let me log in first before I take you out of the void. Because I don't want you folks to see my email, funnily enough. Oh, god damn it, it says I'm over my limit. Let me delete an old version. I do apologize. Let me take you back to IntelliJ while we wait for me to set this up. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, back into the void while I switch this over to Safari. Because I'm going to show you what we're basically intending architecturally for the new... There we go. Okay. Don't care about AI, piss off. So, we start off with the contract. So we also have the player campaign. So player campaign is going to be at the top. And then we come down and we have contract. So as you all know, as a player, you can have multiple contracts. And these all live Shazam. Bugger off. Shazam. There we go. So that gives us free contracts. So right now we have free contracts. And it might be that some of these contracts are completed, and maybe some of these contracts are still active, because one of the things we're going to be doing with the new overhaul is allowing the player to have multiple concurrent contracts. And each contract is going to have a mission. So we'll add mission here. And I'll explain what the difference between a contract and a mission is very shortly. Just let me get the basic architecture set up. However, a contract is not limited to more than one mission. So this contract over here actually has 2 missions attached. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you in a second. As I say, just let me get this set up so I can then walk you through the flowchart. However, the contract over here is a little bit different. So it initially only has one mission, but then that mission branches. And we'll say was success. So those of you who were here last week might already have an inkling of where this is going. Okay, so let's walk through. At the top, we have the player category. So this is where everything lives. Your people live, your contracts, and so forth. And each campaign has 3 contracts. It does not matter if these contracts are active, inactive. It does not matter. That is irrelevant for our example here. So we have 3 types of contract. We have a contract that only has 1 mission. We have a contract that has 2 missions, but it could be any number of missions. So it could be 356 missions. It doesn't matter. And we have a contract over here which has 1 mission attached, but then if that mission is successful, it will branch into another mission. So this gives us our 3 types of contract. We have single mission contracts, multi-mission contracts, and branching contracts. However, all of these contracts and missions are not, all these types are still going to use the same basic component. So let's now talk about what components are. So, no, I accidentally didn't want to do that. We have a predefined process. So over here, we have the abstract contract. And an abstract is kind of like a template, kind of. We can move those over a little bit to give us a bit more space. And we might as well do the same over here. Let's squidge it in a little bit. There we go. So an abstract is kind of like a template. It says that everything that extends from an abstract is both a type of that abstract, but also contains all the code within. So if we have an abstract contract, what do we expose from that? What inherits from the abstract contract? So right now we're planning 2 inheritors. We have inheritor 1. We have inheritor 2. There we go. And the first inheritor is going to be simple contract. And again, I'm going to explain what all these things are in just a moment, and then we're going to call it advanced contract. So what is a simple contract and what is an advanced contract? Well, if I have some more water, and I do apologize, I'm drinking like a fish today. In fact, rather than telling you what a simple contract and an advanced contract is, let's move on to mission, because I can explain it all in one. So similar to contract, we have abstract mission. And similar to contract, we have advance. And we have simple. So all contracts are abstract contracts. Can we change this to a dotted line? Whatever. We'll color this if I can figure out how to color it. Oh, is it up here? Oh, there we are. This is what I'm looking for, line. And all missions are abstract. And we can change that to our dotted line as well. Okay. Fishy Annie. That's funny. Okay, so if we zoom out and we have a look at our logic, which is player campaign goes into contracts, which go into missions. Every contract can have 1 or more mission. For those missions, each mission will have a terminator. That is to say, you finish that mission, contract is over, or it will have a successor. And that basically is just a branching chain that says, hey, was this mission successful? If it was, move on to the next mission. Otherwise, don't. The example I use is a contract, which is a planetary assault. And the first mission is planetary assault. And then if you succeed that mission, you maybe go into a garrison. And if you fail that mission, go into a guerrilla. Not good. Whereas a contract here, the middle contract just has the agreement with the employer, and the mission is planetary assault. Whereas over here, the agreement with the employer and planetary assaults on different. But all missions are types of abstract mission. All we determine is whether it's a simple mission, or contract, or an advanced mission. So a simple mission is basically what we currently have without ATB. An advanced mission is what we're going to get with ATB. So I was actually specifically asked to make this, so there I will post it for Sai in Discord. There we go. So again, what is a contract? A contract is an agreement with the employer. A mission is the actual what you need to do. So a contract could be a planetary assault. We keep using planetary assault because it's a good example. Let's zoom in this a little bit further. There we go. We can fit everything on the screen easy enough. There we go. So what is a contract? A contract will be things like your employer, how much you're getting paid, what your salvage percent is, maybe. Trying to think what else that could be. We'll just say the employer details and percentiles, like what you've negotiated. A mission will be everything else. So it'll be who the enemy are. It will be what type of mission it is. Is it a planetary assault? Is it guerrilla warfare? Is it a garrison? So an individual contract can have multiple missions. And those missions can be in different locations. And as I say down here, I am repeating myself a little bit because I just want to get this across. A mission can also branch. So again, here we're going into a contract. The contract with the agreement with the employer, we are going to participate in their planetary assault. The first mission is planetary assault. If it's successful, we've been contracted to turn it into a garrison. If it's a failure, we've now been contracted to perform guerrilla operations, as we're stuck behind enemy lines. But moving over to the left, right even, the abstract contract can be a simple or it can be an advanced contract. A simple contract is what we're going to be using to transfer across all the old data. So that's actually what we're going to work on first. So we're going to head back over to IntelliJ and we're going to start work on this. Also, I can't tell you what it is, but keep an eye out on the announcements section of MegaMek because we're going to be putting out an announcement soon. I don't know exactly when it's going out. I don't know if it's a today thing or this weekend thing, but keep an eye out on the announcements channel. It's going to be a very cool announcement. I think you all will really enjoy. But back here. So we've got our abstract mission. We've got abstract contract. We're going to do abstract contract first. Are we not? I feel like we can do them both at the same time, actually. But what we do need is we need to find abstract mission transition, because this is what we're going to be converting over. I actually want that on the left. Whoopsie doodles. So these are what I want to move right. Don't need that or that. Don't need the pesky legal statements. So let's go ahead and grab these. So we'll set up our logger and our resource bundle first, just in case we need it later instead of having to set up then. And we're going to go ahead and create 2 resource bundles. How I create resource bundles, I prefer to just grab an existing one and copy it across. So that's abstract mission. We also need abstract contract. There we are. So we're just going to go through this list and we're going to filter across what needs filtering across. So this is very, very similar to what we did last week. But now, so you might notice I'm cutting and pasting. That was a mistake. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be copying across. So StratCon campaign state is actually the first example of something that will be mission based, because you're going to have different StratCon context based on the individual mission. And here's our first question. How do we handle ID? I think we'll probably leave it as ID for now. Mission status. So that's going to be, we're going to need that both in abstract contract, but we're also going to need that in abstract mission, because a mission could be completed while the contract still isn't. And contract type name. Oh, that's not right. Here's the thing though, contract type name isn't a contract. It's called contract type name, but it is in fact something that will be at the mission level. Because whether the mission is a planetary invasion or not is determined at the mission level, not the contractual level. So this also gives us our first thing that we need to bring across. So that's fine, it can stay in abstract mission, that's okay. And then ATB contract type. Again, that's determined at the mission level, not the contract level. So we might need to change some of these variables. Description. The description is going to be at the contract level, I suspect. System ID, and legacy planet name. These, of course, need to be at the mission level so that we can support multiple missions across multiple systems. And the cache jump path, again, that's going to need to be at the mission level. Start date and end date. Yeah, now here's a good question. Should the start date and the end date be tied within the mission? I guess they should be. However, things like employer code, generally most of this employer information needs to be at the contract level. So employer code, resource bundle. There we go. And we'll need to do the same down here. Just checking what we're looking at here. Belligerent name. It's going to be ally. Yes, that can stay in contract. However, here is an interesting thing. The bot name probably shouldn't be stored in the contract. So employer code, that should be contract level. Employer name, contract level. Employer liaison, contract level. Ally, quality, bot name, camouflage, and color, that should actually be at the mission level. Because we could have different allies dependent on where we are. Enemy stuff, all enemy stuff is going to be living in mission, almost certainly. We'll go for it still. Also, I don't know why our allies are red instead of blue. That seems like a mistake to me. So let's fix these references. And we need belligerent name. Grab here. Belligerent name default. So this needs to move over to contract. Ally bot name, however, shouldn't be in contract. That should be in here, mission. Contract difficulty. Oh, this is going to be a hard one. Should contract difficulty be determined? I guess that should be determined at the mission level, but I feel like also we should have a version that lives at the contractual level, because contract difficulty is going to be a reflection of overall how difficult the contract is. With mission difficulty, we'll rename all these variables later. Mission difficulty represents how difficult the individual mission is. Now all this stuff, this is all contractual stuff, so we know that should be weird. I could have sworn I changed that. It doesn't matter. Let me just merge this in 1 second. Oh no, I guess I didn't rename these. I thought I renamed these, but I guess not. Okay. This needs to be moved over. There we go. What else we got? Payment multipliers, we've moved that across. I didn't mean to cut those. That was not quite my intention. Salvage is going to be at the contractual level, because whilst you can accumulate salvage at the mission level, the overall salvage exchange is determined at the contractual level. So the signing, the financial stuff, that's all going to be at the contract level. However, facilities rented should be at the mission level, because you're going to have different facilities available depending on where you are. Required combat teams and required combat elements, let's make that on the mission level, because I feel I can see that being different dependent on whether you are, what mission you are, what contract type as well. Whether you're an attacker or not, of course, that's going to be determined by the mission, but your negotiation roles, that's going to be determined at the contract level. Enemy routing, that is mission level. Scenarios, of course, that's the mission level. And that brings us on to our constants. So that's giving us our initial layout. We can see what kind of information is being included at the contract level, and we can see what kind of information is being included at the mission level. And that gives us our separator. Hum. So I guess now we can go through. Let's save our work so far. And actually, let's just check. Are we actually calling these? Can we tidy up the resource bundles at all? Looks like everything's being called. Okay, so we'll call this initial transfer. And if you're enjoying what we do here, please consider hitting the follow button. If you're on YouTube, the subscribe button. And if you're feeling particularly spicy on Twitch, the subscribe button's always there. It's always appreciated. All funds raised are going directly to get me a new computer so I can basically do better streams and hopefully won't have IntelliJ crashing on me constantly. Okay, so let's do some renaming. No, we don't rename. Renaming is what we can do later. Right now, we want to keep this as being the same name. The reason being is that we want to be able to do a direct one-to-one transfer. With that in mind, we're now going to do something very, very dangerous. We are going to delete all of this. And this is going to cause a cascade of errors, like so many errors. But those errors are going to tell us where we're using those resources. Just waiting for IntelliJ to catch up. Maybe if I save, it will realize that it's been updated. There we go. I had to save. So this change here, we're not keeping. But what we are doing is we are using this as a way to see what we need to move across. So we're going to have the constructor here. That's just the empty constructor. And we can start copying stuff over. Now, some of this stuff is not going to... Actually, no, what we can do at this point, I'm realizing I can go one step further, and we can just go Shazam, scroll all the way to the bottom. And this is one of the good things why we don't want to change the names. So now we've done that, we can actually undo this. That's fine, we can... Radar says that a Hetzer tried to be an anti-aircraft gun with their Flak 20. Did they hit? So we don't actually need the original abstract anymore. Because now what we're going to do is all these errors are going to be popping up because the variable's missing, which means it's a method that needs to be transferred over to the new abstract. So what we need to do is just do some cutting and pasting. There you go, getting the empty constructor. Looks like we can get some more across here. And our goal with this is to transfer across existing contracts, missions, etc. And of course, Radar says not only did they miss, they jammed the AC-20. Oh, that's funny. Now, the good thing is all existing contracts, missions, etc. All... I'm just checking things. They all only have a single mission, which makes things a little bit easier. Okay, and removing one method sometimes will allow us to move another. And you might be thinking, oh, this isn't the overhaul I was advertised. And you're correct, because the intention is we move stuff over. This is the exact same process we used last week. You move stuff over and then you start updating. You don't want to be trying to update as you're moving stuff over. That's just going to make a massive headache for you. Now, contract difficulty is one that exists in both, so we're just going to copy that across rather than cut and pasting. Batch hour accepted. Okay, I must have missed that one, but that is definitely one that we want at the mission level, so that's okay. So this is getting us all of our scenarios. And there's a very good chance many of these methods won't actually be kept. Because we have a lot of luggage left over, baggage even, left over from the ATB days. And this is going to be the best opportunity we ever have to tidy it out. But that's not something we're going to do right this second. Oh, we missed one? What did we miss? Interesting. So updating the employer is going to require us to update the ally camouflage. That's fine. Because, and I suspect, yeah, that's fine. We can come back and add this. Interesting, but that's okay. That's a money thing. That shouldn't be moving. Which tells me I've accidentally moved across get monthly payout. Or I've accidentally deleted it, which is slightly worse. So we need to do some work here, but I need to figure out where get monthly payments gone, because monthly payment wasn't one of the things that we've moved across intentionally. So that tells me what we've done is we accidentally forgot to move it across. Yeah, we just missed out here. Double checking. Total monthly payout. Total monthly payout. Okay, we just missed it when we were crossing across. So this is all payment stuff, so I'm not worried about this. Get length plus travel. Interesting. should payment stuff be at the... I'm actually thinking payment stuff should be at the... give me a second. Should be at the mission level, because then we can smash the payments together. So if you take a free mission contract, we can just smoosh the payments together. That will work. But that does mean that we need to move these across. Which is going to give us some more errors, but that's okay. We don't mind errors. Errors are fine and dandy, so long as my frickin' UI responds. Just finding where we need to plonk these. No, okay, so it's not even that simple. Because not some of these are going to move across, some aren't. So advance amount, sign bonus, transport and transit do move across. Overhead, support, base amount, fee amount. What do we want to do here? Because some of these values, first of all, I don't agree with how we're caching this. We only really need one payment value, but I still need to migrate them across. Let's go with my original thought, and that is that it lives in contract. And we'll have all money stuff live in contract for now. That's what we're going to do. Which does mean that length in months needs to migrate back across. For now. That's not going to work. With that in mind, what we need to do... Sorry, I'm terribly sorry. I need my desk. What we're going to need to do is we're going to create a contract pay helper. And the goal here is that the contract pay helper is going to bring over the necessaries, basically. How is that gonna work? Let's go back to Safari. So we're facing a situation where we have information that needs to be in contract and mission. The original version that is in MekHQ right now assumes that both are always going to have access to it, so it doesn't mind having stuff that's across both. I know how to do this. I know how to do this. And this is why having these is good. So let's go back over here. We're not going to need a helper. But we are going to need to faff around a little bit. So 11 months we know is not available here, but that's okay. It's going to be available once we're done. Same with a lot of these, I guess get system is actually okay. Okay, here we are. We're back to stuff that we can actually action pretty easily. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. So this tells us that we need to have a mission ID here as well. But that's kind of to be expected. Private ID. Oh, int ID. There we go. And I can also see that transport amount, we're thinking of bringing that over. Now this absolutely does need to be over. That's going to break a whole bunch of things, but I've already figured out how we're going to solve that. But what we need to do first is just migrate the getter and setter over. Then I can explain that, what we're going to do. Any more? That's just telling us we can't get them. Perfect. Okay. So that's allowed us to migrate everything over. Is there anything status? Do we just fail? Aha, because we have mission status there as well. And I guess we also really need a name. So I guess we'll bring over a name. Which means we don't need to be able to get the values. We're not going to allow the mission to be hyperlinked just yet. That can be a much later thing. We not have a get ID. We do. Apparently we haven't brought across transport amount yet. So let's do that. So this gives us the shape of our two new systems. Now, missions have scenarios. But contracts have missions. So let's set that up. This is going to allow us to have a way to fetch missions. I don't want ID to be a string, an integer. I'd rather this was an UID. Personal preference there. It's just, we're far less likely to have conflicts. Just double checking that is exactly what I was expecting. Youngster asks, have I seen MekHQ's first foray against the clans? I haven't. I have been so incredibly busy. How did it go? I am definitely interested in hearing how it went. Better than MekHQ 4. He's been smashing them by outnumbering, out-tunning, and out-BVing. Very Desgra. Oh, that's good to hear. Did that's not necessarily. Did he agree to the Bachow or no? I know when we get there with the Scriptoris Bastards, we will not be agreeing to the Bachow. I mean, what's a Bachow? I've never heard of it. It sounds kind of made up, honestly. Radar says, you dare refuse my Bachow? Refuse your what? That is exactly how it's going to go. Okay, so here's how we're going to handle these things that are not accessible. We're going to create a deprecated value. I'm going to set removal to false, and it is 51.1. So you might be thinking, why are we entering a deprecated value now? And it is just so that we can get this working. And here we're working on the assumption. We know that no. Actually, we don't. We can do this even better. We just need to know the year, and then for abstract mission emissions. And then set, there we go. Okay, that handles that. And then we can say refresh allied camouflage for all missions. And what's the next one we are struggling with? Get transport pay amount. Okay. For abstract mission emissions, we need to have a double, call it value, add mission, get transit or transport amount, and we just need to return valuini. Oh, okay, so it's actually a money object. My bad. There we go. And there we are. So that gives us that. We're also going to need to do the same for transit amount. And that is literally just changing that. From all missions. Okay, length in month. This is a bit more of a spicy one, so we're going to come back to that. Okay. So this one is another one where we need to go through the system. So for abstract mission get system. And then we jump to this. Okay, that's never going to return null. That's system name, not system. Get system can return null. We need to flag this, because if we fail to find the system, this will return null. So if system doesn't equal null, We just have a little logger there to warn us that, hey, this is an issue. In fact, this doesn't need to be an error. This can just be a warn. So again, we need to make a value object. So money value equals money 0. So we're not trying to work with an uninitialized value. There we go. And lastly, we just return the value. And that gives us the transportation fees across the entire bulk of missions that we have. Okay, we need to do something similar down here. So we're just going to copy this across and move up. Okay, that's good. Interesting. I don't know that we need to do the null protection here. I think we're actually safe because I think get transport cost. It's going to return get a jump path. It's going to return the cache jump path, which so long as we initialize it to new jump path, will never be null. So that means we don't need to worry about null here. We just need to worry about whether or not we're actually even paying for transport. Just leave a note, system can be null, but this null value will be swallowed by get transport cost. Just so anybody coming in here is aware of why we set it up this way. Actually, we don't even need to use system here. I've just noticed. So really, we can scoot up top, and we can just copy this across. We can significantly simplify it. Might need to do some more work on that. I don't think this is quite working. For example, we're not even using the mission, which tells me that we're not fetching it somewhere, so that needs to be addressed. In fact, we're just going to pass the mission in. There we go. Okay, so now we're moving down to here. We don't even need to do this pass if we're not even paying. So this will save us a couple of cycles. Do I think, hey Faceman, do I think that MekHQ has too much spaghetti code? I don't actually think, as developers, we will frequently comment on the spaghetti code in MekHQ. I don't actually think it's that bad for the age of the product. I think we as developers, we just like to complain about it. Like even the parts code, so long as you're staying out of repair and rearm and refit, the free children of Satan himself, so long as you're staying away from those three, the parts code is actually fine. It's specifically those three that are the problem. And those three are a problem. I'm trying to see what's happening here. MekHQ 2 when? I don't know. I would like to rebuild MekHQ one day in Unity. Potentially Unreal, but probably Unity because it means we can write it in C#. Yeah, no, MegaMek's code base is pretty good because generally as we go, we are improving our code style and are just doing better and better. There we go. That's what we want to do here. We're fetching the transport cost, and then we are multiplying it by transport compensation. I think this is correct. And again, we only need to return this if we aren't paying, because system being null is no longer an issue. Calculates the payer's out-of-pocket transport costs after the employer's reimbursement. For abstract mission emissions. Seems like the youngster says it seems like the team runs a pretty tight ship. Yeah, no, especially in MekHQ, I am very anally retentive when it comes to code style in MekHQ. Oh, helps if I can spell money. Okay. What's next on the agenda? There we go. Okay, jumping back to the top. Length in months. Radar says it helps that the MegaMek team has been doing their best to stick to style guide and update the old code as they need to. Yes. That really is the big thing. Going back and redoing or updating legacy code is a project that saves time and dividends like years to come. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is actually we are walking ourselves into a corner. So this is actually all going to get undone, which sucks, but two things here. One is a lesson that we need to remember to push commits instead of editing. And bugger, this as far as we can go back. Okay, well in that case we will have to review how much we changed since we last committed. Can we just revert? Oh no, we haven't committed in a while. Okay. Okay, because what I'm realizing is the best thing for us to do here is to have each contract, each mission have its own set of money objects, rather than it being all tied up in the contracts level. Just as a stopgap for now until we introduce better code to handle this. Even though many of these are going to be what's the word? Oh, I know what we can do. I know what we can do. Many of these values are going to be identical across the different missions, but it is going to be very helpful if we can migrate them across. I want local history. Beg your pardon, not GitHub's history. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so that's taking us back to where we were. Before we break this even further, let us go ahead and bear with me just a moment. I don't know if someone's knocking at the door or if my housemates just got back, so I will be right back in just a moment. And I'm back. Hello, everybody. My housemate just returned with groceries, so I was just helping them bring them in. So let's head back over to IntelliJ. So, add another commit. And then we're going to come over here, and what we're going to do is we are going to transfer all the money stuff to mission. Now, I can't say I particularly want it to live in mission, if I'm being perfectly honest with you all. However, right now, with a mind towards getting the old contracts moved over to the new system, it's exactly where it needs to be. And it means all of this can get moved over, I believe. Apparently missed. I'm just incredibly excited for when we can start doing stuff like designing the new sort of user interface. And just the general new user experience. That's gonna be really, really interested to do. Diddly dum. So I'm just going to plonk these into wherever, and I suspect what I'll probably end up doing is getting Claude to just reorganize the order into some semblance of well, order. because right now things are a little bit of a mess. That's okay, we don't mind mess here. Realize this, Illiani, excited for UI work. Next year would tell me that the UK won the World Cup. I have no idea who won the World Cup. I can say that I do not remotely care. Like, my housemate is from Atlanta, and apparently the World Cup's just been an absolute clusterfuck. Get UID. There we go. Okay, so what are the other little problems we're having here? PS359 says they're in Toronto where some games are taking place. Hasn't really affected them, but they don't live downtown. Yeah, I think the biggest issue with Atlanta is, from what my housemate was saying, they just haven't bothered to build up the infrastructure. So there just isn't the infrastructure there for the for the games. Okay, so this is raising a good question. Should Abstract Mission have any knowledge of its parent? I suspect yes. Private abstract contract. Parent contracts, there we go. Okay, so we can't have mission be a... Steak the Dog says Atlanta just sucks because of extremely poor traffic management, because by the time they realized it was going to be a problem, it was too late to fix. And MARTA never reached its full extent due to several Metro Atlanta counties refusing it, so that hurts it even more. Radar says they hate Atlanta. Now let's stick here. What we're going to do, though, is change... How are we going to do this? I think we need to have a look on Google here. Can we convert an int into a UID? Oh, thanks, Stack Overflow. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I know now how to convert a integer into a UID. So that means we can convert old stuff over. So that does mean that set mission ID is now going to... Oh, so here's a problem. Scenarios are gonna have to be set at the contract level. That feels so wrong. How do we resolve this? I suppose we can just... We're going to leave this as is right now. We're going to leave it as is with abstract being slightly broken. Okay, so that brings us... We finalized the transition, which brings us on to the next step, which is going to be to go through the various bits of the code base and now hook it up to the new stuff. We're going to need to start off with figuring out how we are going to tie scenarios to missions. Well, actually, we'll do this here. And we're going to pass in, not abstract mission, we're going to pass in contract. And we're also going to pass in mission. Is this static? No. Parent contract, that's why it's not finding it. Parent contract, we're also going to pass in this. People are all agreeing that Atlanta sucks. PS359 says, regarding the cup, though, they're still in the group rounds. This is England, by the way. At this point, the cup won't be rewarded for a couple of weeks. Okay, so here we're just using the active contract. In that case, can we just circumvent this by saying... here we are. This is where we're passing in the contract. No, this isn't going to work. What changes have we made? I think we might be about to roll back. We've basically made no changes. Okay, let's just roll back. We need to reassess this. Okay, we have two issues here. One is that we can't pass in a UID. So let's resolve one problem at a time. Let's change this to an integer. So this isn't what I would want it to be. We're going to stick with this for now. We need to change these to integers. Now, the end goal will be to change them to a UID. But right now, we have to work with what we've got. Okay, we can add a to-do. And that brings us down to one problem. And this is going to be a problem that we're not going to be able to resolve easily. And the reason why is because this is explicitly requesting an abstract mission transition class, not what we actually want. So we are going to pass in parent contract for now. Now, before we move any further, it's time to start thinking about how we can update the OI. IO even. So for this, I want to grab some stuff that we're working on here in abstract mission transition. And we're going to steal it. Yeah. This is a very, very clean way to load data. That's what we're looking to do here. So our next step is going to be the IO, basically turning the class on and off. So here we're just going to copy across all of the IO stuff. We don't need get text, but we do probably want to string. So now we're going to also copy this across in the exact same way to abstract mission. Now the reason why we're doing this is precisely so that we have all of the parsings. This is stuff that I've already done. And we don't want to duplicate our work. There we go. Now there is a load of errors here, but that's okay, because what we're going to be doing now is going through and just getting rid of them. Because these are all errors from fields that aren't here. And remember, we have included a lot of this information, or actually should have included all of the information into mission. And so what we'll see is when we what's the word? We can probably move employer code up here and contract difficulty up here as well. When we switch over to mission, you'll find that everything's reversed. So stuff that exists here will not exist in mission, for the most part. Okay, so shares percent is still here. Because we're not really using it anywhere, that's probably why. Okay, that's fine. We can work with that. So now let's see where we are. Oh wow, we've been at this for a couple of hours already. I didn't realize. I might switch to something a little bit more fun soon. I don't want to say I'm burning out, but this has been very mentally intensive stuff. And so I kind of feel like I want to do something a little bit more fun for the last couple hours. Oh, too much. And I'll show you how this all works soon. Because how it works is very, very cool. Interesting. I seem to have forgotten to initialize node setters. We'll have to double check that in a second, because I might have done a boo-boo. In fact, let's check that now. Where is this meant to have come from? Okay, it's just not hooked up. Ah, that's a whoopsoos. Initialize field setter is not hooked up either. Oh, that's right, because we were planning to change it into a static. Okay, that's fine. Any more? Scenario node setters, we don't need that at the contract level. There we go. That means we don't need node setter. Well, we might need node setter. Do we need node setter? maybe. Hannah says they're wandering off to do some data prep, if you know what I mean. Oh, I do. Is the announcement today or is it coming later? Because I know Hammer's prepping a very cool announcement. I just don't know if it's coming today or if it's coming later. Hoping for today. Ooh, oh, that's exciting. Yeah, no, this is an announcement Hammer is working on. That y'all are gonna really like, but I won't talk about it because don't want to take the steam from Hammer's sales. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really cool. Any chance I can get my question answered, Illiani? Oh, give me 2 ticks. Sorry, you have to excuse me. This is like really mentally intensive stuff and my brain's just distracted. Let's see. If a trainer in a force that's deployed and set to training has a scouting skill, will they train that skill to people regardless of if the person is the people that's not trained has any investment in that training? Okay. So you have to have at least level 0 in a skill before you can benefit from any kind of training. So if you have a trainer that has sensor operations 5, but the student doesn't have sensor operations at all, the trainer cannot train the student. And this is there is no getting around that. It is a code issue due to a legacy decision made a decade ago. So if anybody complains about that being a bit dumb, it is a bit dumb. I cannot fix it. Short of completely rewriting how skills are stored on the character level, I cannot fix it. But yeah, so to receive any kind of training, potentially, no education I got around it, but yeah, any kind of training in a training formation, the student has to have the skill. Which is why it's good to send the student to education, get the level 0 or whatever, and then put them into training. There we go. That's all we need to do there. Oh no, we can't do this. We can't make this static. I don't think. I need to rethink this approach. Let's throw it to the AI, see if the AI can suggest something I'm not seeing, because right now I do not believe we can convert this to a static, and I would really like to. Let's just see if the AI can offer something, because sometimes the AI sees things that I don't see. Let's just see what it says. So we need to change it to a functional interface. I see. I think I see. Okay, so yeah, what we're doing is we're creating a functional interface. Essentially, we trigger this class from a static instance, which then does all the things that we need it to do. That's actually a very clever way of doing it. It's fun enough how we're doing it down here already. So the static functional interfaces are something I'm literally only now learning, so... Radar says I got pizza in the oven. Ah, yeah. My housemate is doing us pork cutlets tonight, which I am very excited. So let's push our code here. What changes do we make to abstract mission? Oh, abstract missions. What do we make to abstract contract? That's what I'm more concerned about. We're not interested in changes there. Radar says they had a Centurion fail its ammo check in the heat phase and blew up. Oh, fantastic. Is the AH version the AC20 or is that the AC10? AC20, think of the H standing for heavy. Autocannon heavy. Yes, okay, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So let's see if the AI is giving us something we can actually use. I'm not expecting perfection here. I never do from the AI. But what I am always interested in seeing is what does it do? And because me and Psycho Monkey were having a chat about AIs last week, I want to say. For starters, it's already making errors. That the AI is it's best to think of it as a very enthusiastic junior developer. Because if you think of it as a junior developer and you trust it about as well as you would a junior developer, you tend to find that it becomes a lot less frustrating. And also you don't fall into the mistake of overly trusting it. Okay, so what did it change? Made it static like we wanted. So yeah, it made it static, and then it's just broke. God damn it! We need to do the node set. The phone set. We need to use this. Oh, it's doing the AI thing of trying to get you to use more tokens by only doing half the job and saying, hey, if you want, I can do the rest of it. I conceptually do not have a problem with AI in programming, but my god, AI can be so fucking frustrating sometimes. Like, I have a much bigger problem with AI in things like art and writing. But for programming, so much of programming is just copy and pasting other people's work. It's not like art where you have to worry about art theft. Okay, there we go. So now what has it done? Okay. That's all correct. We're going to need to change some of these. But that should be good. Okay, no, this is mostly right. Mostly. We need to change some of these. For example, this needs to be abstract contract. People do get sued for stealing code. So there is a massive difference from stealing code compared to what basically every program in existence does. There is a massive difference. It is the difference between reading a book and citing it in your work and copying the book. There is a big difference. There we go. That fixes that. PS359 says that at my wife's company, there have been devs who keep some of their code private and take it with them when they leave or are fired. Yeah. Most contracts specifically state that anything you produce while you're at work is the product of the company for basically that reason. But yeah, there's absolutely never any reason to have loyalty to a company. I have never met a company that would have loyalty towards me. So do whatever you need to do to stay ahead. Look after you. Interesting. I didn't believe we moved employee liaison over. I could have swore we kept employee liaison here. Did I accidentally move employee liaison over? No, there's employee liaison. And then set employee liaison. Oh, is it going to be because it can't do it in a... Okay, that is correct. Non-static, it's because it's static. Okay, that's fine. Oh, it's because it... Why is that a node? That should be a contract, probably. Okay, so that's easy enough we fix. We can add a contract to the node setter. Oh, we're in abstract mission. That's not where we want to be. Node campaign contract version. Okay, okay. Oh, it's because we were referencing the wrong thing, it looks like. Okay, you cannot reference abstract contract. Well, yeah, obviously. Contract, node. So that... This is all bugged up, basically. But very easily fixed. There we are. Got there in the end. Expected 4 arguments, but wanted 3. Node, campaign, contract version. We don't have access to a contract here. So this is a void. Do we need contract here? Is a question. We do. So what we need to do is we need to have 2 versions of this, one with the contract, one without. I suppose we can just pass in null. And then if we have anything that needs the contract, it's not going to be passed in. Oh, I'm so fucking dumb. There you go. Problem solved. Okay, so that should work. Okay, we now need to do basically the same thing, but for abstract mission. So we're going to start with our IO methods, and then we'll move across the code that is duplicated in both places. So as before, we are just essentially scrolling down here and getting rid of anything that doesn't have a value in a mission. And this is one of the reasons why we did the flattening work, because by flattening it, we make this significantly easier. Oh, I forgot to add our field setters. Dum. There we go. And I think that's abstract contract should also be most likely abstract mission as well. But not that one. That's correct. That's correct. That is also correct. Okay, cool. Let's bring over some of the helper methods. Okay, so we have load instance from XML there, so we don't need that duplicated. Load fields from XML node, we have that. Scenario node setter, that needs to stay. Not all of these need to be changed over, so we're going to have to go through these one by one, because that parent contract needs to stay the same. Everything else, though, is now abstract mission, because we're in an abstract mission class. Easy as. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to go back to what we were doing a second ago, which is just going through all this and making sure we get rid of anything that's not being used in mission, which isn't a lot by the looks of things. Which is nice. We like it when it's nice and easy. Excuse me. Something isn't right here. We're still using the old version. So let's have a comparison between the two and see if we can figure out what we need to do to move it across. Yeah, because look, we're still using old versions of the initialized field setters. Because it should be contract B and C. So contract. There we go. So what we need to do is replace all instances of V and C with contract V, C. So we're now passing in contract. Okay, how is initialized node setters looking? There we go. Add in the extra information that we are missing. So we're going to do this by just copying over a employee liaison and then comparing what are we looking at here. So node, campaign, contract version. Okay. And it's contract set because we're accessing it from a there we go. Yeah. Okay. That's it. What we're doing because we're contacting it. We need to add the contracts because we're accessing this from a static state. There we go. We do love it when a plan comes together. Does mean we now need to add contract to all of these. No, we don't. These have already been corrected. Yeah, I think after this, we've got like an hour and a half left. I'm going to try and hit the bug queue, I think, because my brain is starting to slow down. And this is the kind of task that I have to have my full brain. We've been at this for a very long time. And I know there's some relatively easy stuff that's going to be hanging around in the bug queue. Always is. Oh, I see the issue here. Is pass planet name in here incorrectly? No. Value in campaign, that's why. There we go. We need to add the new instance of field setters. And this needs to be static, I believe. Yes. And then we're going to return this field setters. This should be abstract mission, not contract. So at this point we return field setters and we should be in a pretty strong position. I suspect I am going to need to go in. Yeah, I need to add mission, not contract, to all of these. Frustrating, but such is the lay of the land, which also means we need to change contract to mission. But that again is a simple case of just cut, is just a find and replace. Mission VC Shazam. I did wonder why it was allowing me to use localized access, but I didn't think too hard about it because not thinking about it saved me some effort. Alas, the effort was not saved. Interesting that we're setting both planet and system ID as system ID. I need to investigate that. That doesn't sound right. Interesting. Interesting and interesting. I wonder if this is a placeholder for some stuff that was intended but never got done. Because right now, the target, the planet, is always the primary planet on the system. Which is something I want to change, actually. Now, in 99.9% of systems, the only populated system is the primary planet. But I think it'd be a lot of fun to, if there is a secondary system that, say, secondary planet in a system that is populated, to have missions that might occur there instead. As going back to the conversation about employees. Sorry, just reading something. Employees taking code and when they leave the company. Anybody familiar with the Ultima spell from Final Fantasy II? This is a fun story I like to tell. This may implement a NPE. Because node setters might be null. Okay. So the reason why I bring up Final Fantasy II, which is by all accounts a terrible game, and I genuinely cannot recommend anybody play it. And I have got the platinum trophy on PlayStation for Final Fantasy II, and the only reason I have the platinum trophy on PlayStation for Final Fantasy II is so that I never have a reason to ever play the game ever again. It is systematically an awful game, but the way one second, I need to change this to mission, not contract. The way leveling in Final Fantasy II is set up is it's set up very similar to the way that you level up in Skyrim, in that you as you use a thing, you get better in the thing. So as you use a sword, you get better with swords. As you cast a spell, you get better with spells, you would think. But this is where the mistake is made. It is not that you level up in spells in general. You level up in that specific spell. So if you have Fire 1 and you use Fire 1 lots, you will get better at specifically Fire 1. So if you get Fire 2 and Fire 2 is better, you are now a level 1 Fire 2. So maybe there's some scenarios where you might want to use Fire 1 instead of Fire 2. Names have been changed for the ease of conversation. However, the Ultima spell is meant to be the best spell in the game. It's like a spell you actually have to go out on a massive main story plot quest to get even access to. But the person who developed that spell did not like the spell. How the spell was meant to work is that the spell got more powerful based on how many other spells you had leveled up to maximum level. So if you'd leveled up 10 spells to maximum level, it would be 10 times as powerful as if you had only leveled up the one spell to maximum level. Okay. So that immediately creates a problem, because if you've got to the point where you have leveled up several spells to maximum, chances are those individual spells are going to be more powerful than Ultima. So that's the first problem. The second problem, and why I brought this up, is relating to how the spell was programmed itself. So as I say, the developer who did it did not like the spell. They thought it was a terrible idea. I don't genuinely know the reason why. They just did not like the spell, and they did not enjoy development on Final Fantasy II. So they decided to sabotage the spell. Not only did they implement the spell so that it was non-functional, so that it was at all times literally the weakest spell in the game, but they wrote the code using a cipher. So when they quit, nobody could debug the spell because it was written in a goddamn cipher. The situation was so bad that by the time Final Fantasy II was had to be released, they still hadn't fixed the Ultima spell. And so to account for it, they wrote a lore reason of why the Ultima spell is so weak. Who here has watched or read Free Ren, the elf anime? So anybody who's watched either watched or read Free Ren will know there's a particular scene. Now, I am going to mildly spoil Free Ren, not in a huge way, but just be aware there is mild spoilers for Free Ren in season 1 specifically. Very early on in season 1. Basically, Free Ren has the situation where a big evildoer is the master of this powerful spell, and then uses the powerful spell and is easily defeated by the most basic of defense magic. And the reason in Free Ren is that the knowledge of magic has moved on since this evil villain was the main dude. And so the basic defensive magic was now able to deal with the most powerful spell back in the evildoer's day. And that is a direct reference to Final Fantasy II. Because that is the in-universe reason of why the Ultima spell is trash. It is specifically because, well, obviously out of world, it's because the developer sabotaged it. But in universe, the Ultima spell is trash in Final Fantasy II because it's so old, magic has just moved past it, and that's the reason why it's so bad. Not because it was broken on release, but specifically because in universe, it's an ancient spell that was powerful in its day, but now modern magic is just so powerful. PS359 says, I wonder why they didn't just pull the spell from the end. They couldn't. So when I say that it's not like, oh, you go on a side quest, get this fun little side quest spell. No. This spell is a critical part of the Final Fantasy II storyline. It is a plot relevant spell. They couldn't just take it out. I do wonder why they couldn't just redo it, but I suspect that may have been because Final Fantasy II was a game that spent its entire development cycle in crunch. So there's a lot of things we can say, oh, why didn't they just redo it? Why didn't they just pull it? Why didn't they just do this and that? But because because the game was in permanent crunch, I strongly believe that they probably wanted to. They were probably aware of the issue. They just couldn't fix it because they just did not have development time. Because here's the thing, when you're in crunch, you do not get to choose what you work on. You just have to do what has to be done. And there's no getting around it. You can't go, oh, this needs improvement. If it ain't critically broken in a way that breaks the game, it ain't getting touched. Because if it works well enough that it works mostly, it ain't crashing, it ain't causing the game to break, it's not killing people's saves, it ain't getting changed. We've got systems like that in MegaMek itself, where even though we're not really under crunch, but more where a system is broken, but it's not broken enough to warrant getting fixed. Because the development time required to unbreak it is more than the inconvenience of it being broken in the first place. But yeah, I think that's basically what we're going to probably be doing for this today. We're going to move on to something a bit more interesting, I think. Radar says that it was developed on the Famicom/NES, so it's not like it was easy to rewrite in the first place. Also that. So there is a lot of reasons why it wasn't done. But like, yeah, it's just a very interesting story that I like to tell, because I think it is an interesting concept and just shows how different development is nowadays compared to back in the day. So this whole contract rewrite is going to be a slow burn to start off with, just because everything requires so much work that I like to take a bit of a break before we move on. I'm just sitting staring at the map right now. But like, this is going to be very, very cool once it's done. But right now, it just takes so much work. Radar says Famicom for a call is written in machine code and written in a cipher in crunch time. Yeah, good luck. Do not pass good. Do not collect $200. Yeah. I can't remember if my brain wants to tell me that the Famicom was written in assembly, but I don't remember. I don't remember if it's written in assembly. Let's find out together. What language was the Famicom programmed in? Family Basic, okay. Yeah, okay, assembly, there we go. That's exactly what I was expecting. We're going to go Wikipedia, because I trust Wikipedia more than I do the AI. Okay. Reading process. No, that's not what we're looking. Jesus Christ, Wikipedia. That's not what we're looking for here. But yeah, I'm reasonably confident it was. It's because Family Basic was the keyboard that you could use to program in. Assembly, okay, yeah. So it was written in assembly. We're learning something new every day. Okay, let's head over to the MekHQ queue. Let's see if we can find something juicy that we feel like doing. Because my brain is very toasty right now. MechWarrior generated with both slow and fast learner. Those two should be exclusionary. So let's have a look, see if we can investigate what's going on there. I really can't be asked. I'm looking for something fun here. My brain is so frizzly frazzly. UI bug toe token. Not caring about that. Missions requiring a dropship. Always pick the same goddamn dropship. Okay, let's try and kill this for good. Radar says they don't have to envy. They don't envy anybody who had to work in assembly. Yeah, no. The programmers of old were made from different stuff. So let's get the data building, and then while we're waiting for that, let's see if we can, if I can remember where. Get player unit swaps. Okay. Okay, let's see here. If destination da da da. Look through the allies players to see which unit was there under a matching template. Okay, so the issue is occurring higher in the chain. Okay, swapping player units. For force template, if we're not swapping a unit, calculate unit based on bot unit template. Okay, so how many units are we doing? Find potential units. Iterate the potential units to substitute up to unit count. Okay. Or int unit count, and while potential units isn't empty, if unit is valid for scenario, okay, so the unit is going to be unit equals potential equals object utility. No, not the first non-roll. Utility piss off. Random item. Okay, so at this point, we are absolutely 100% getting a random item. Wrong screen. Whoopsie doodles. Thanks, Radar. So, okay, so we are now absolutely getting a random item. We're now checking, is that a random item valid? Let's do one better. What is manual units a collection? Okay. We're going to make a list called vetted units. Cool. New array list. And it's going to be a list of units. There we go. And I'm going to go through each. I'm just going to verify, can this unit exist in this scenario? If the unit can, we are going to add it to vetted units. There we go. Okay, so we no longer need to check, is the unit valid for the scenario, because the only things we're having here are valid scenario units. Okay, so we come in here, we calculate how many units we need to pass out. We skip it, there's no units to substitute. For potential units, we're going to go ahead and say, hey, is this unit even valid for this scenario? If it is, we're going to pass in. Actually, let's go parameters. Oh, location. Scenario location. We're just going to break this out because this is a whole chunk of logic right in the middle of this conditional. Okay, MekHQ's launched. Good, good. Okay. So we get a random item from vetted units. We're then going to remove the random item from vetted units, so you can't pick the same unit twice. Okay. So we're going to add a whole bunch of blocks here. Because I basically want to read through this every step of the way. This is the unit valid for scenarios where I suspect the issue is going to be, but so leave this as this for now. We are now going to go over to data. We are unfortunately going to have to rebuild the data, it occurs to me, because what I want to do is we are going to kill a whole bunch of scenario templates so that the only scenario templates we're going to get will be... I need to find the list is going to be the, we'll say, deep raid defense. Scenario manifest. There we go. Now, this is just a temporary thing, so we can guarantee we're going to get deep raid defense. There we go. Okay, I'm going to launch a MekHQ, and it's going to basically force us to rebuild the data. But now we're going to test it, see if we can actually finally fix this goddamn bug. Oh, I do realize I never told you guys what the actual bug is. So basically, the bug is if you are using the system that substitutes your dropships for enemy dropships, it always picks the same dropship. Hey, Hammer, you're back. Have you got a juicy announcement for us yet? Or is that still pending? Oh, God, I still have 6... DMs, data repacks, post written. Oh, exciting. So, Hammer thinks the data's okay. Okay, well, fingers crossed. In worst case scenario, we can do a data push. Like data pushes, we can do a pain in the ass, but we can do them. What is everybody up to today? I mean, I'm stuck waiting for data to build. Speaking of data, what is everybody else up to? Anybody doing anything cool? And if speaking of doing anything cool, if you're one of the cool people who listen to this stream and you're not already, consider hitting the follow button. And if you're feeling particularly spicy, there's always a subscribe, but that's wholly optional. All isn't optional is if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, tell your friends about us. We're here every day of the week, more or less. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday daytime, dev streams, and of course Friday evening, the Scrotorious Bastards, the ongoing MekHQ campaign. Radar says they're currently putting 2 Free Worlds League mechs on the casting couch with an entire company of their own mechs. What are the Free Worlds League? I've never heard of them before. What I'm eagerly waiting for is the new core rules, because I haven't seen them yet, but literally everybody I've spoken to who has, like, nobody has had a bad thing to say about the new core rules. Like, I'm sure there's going to be. PS359 says it's a long form name for House Marek. Who are they? I never hear about them in the stories. Like, the novels never talk about them, so they can't really exist. The purple dudes, yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, are you talking about the Marians? They probably wear purple. For anybody who hasn't caught on at this point, I'm making a joke. It's it's an ongoing joke about the fact that nobody in the writing team ever remembers that the Free Worlds League exists. Or when they do remember that the Free Worlds League exists, it's only so they can put them in another civil war. Or just disband them entirely. While we're waiting for this to build, let's have a look back in the MekHQ queue and see if there's anything else we want to pick out of the queue. Probably should assign myself. I don't need you anymore. PS359 says they actually get a fair amount of ink in the Dark Age and reunite the Free Worlds League. Sure. That I've already fixed, that, so I've always fixed. This is an ongoing discussion, but I don't actually think there's a bug here. Oh, that's right, there is a minor bug, then it would get investigated. Let us check. We're looking at a couple of these scenarios, the breakthrough style ones. We need to check the data on them. Additional map sheets tool, 1. Yeah, that's correct. Convoy interdiction gets an extra map sheet. Convoy air gets an extra map sheet. Close air support. We absolutely should increase the size of this scenario. Otherwise, the aircraft is going to be flying off it constantly. We're basically looking for additional map sheets tool to be 0. Which ones? See if I've actually missed any. Doesn't look like. Because the report we've had is that sometimes the map sheets are too short, and I'm trying to investigate why, because they should be two map sheets tall minimum. Now, I really hope this is working. But engagement, that's fine. Heavy recon invasion. That's already bigger. That's my phone telling me it's 4 o'clock. Reinforcements intercepted. Yeah, let's make that one slightly bigger. Yeah, it looks like all of the... Apart from this one instance, and that's fine. I need to open up the save from Raz and see what the actual issue is, because I suspect it's just a misunderstanding. It could also be an issue in the code, but I don't think there is. We can check it out. But first things first, one bug at a time. Let's see what we can do to try and resolve this annoying dropship bug issue. And MekHQ is taking a little bit of time to load today. I also realized I launched it normally when I should have launched it as debug. Thankfully, this won't take as long to launch this time, I don't think. PS359 says that most of the Free Worlds League has reunited, but Andurian is still independent as of the current end of the timeline. Oh goody, we're staging the data files. Hammer says Welsh freedom at last. I say this every time, but I swear I spend half my life waiting for the damn data files to stage. And I know separating the data so that it wasn't split across, because the way the old system worked was you had the MekHQ version of the data, the MegaMek version of the data, and the MegaMek Lab version of the data. And if we ever forgot to copy a change over, the data would end up becoming out of sync. And so you'd have a unit that works one way in MekHQ and a completely different way in MegaMek. And it was awful. So the new way is that everybody uses the same data, but we have to rebuild it anytime there's a change, and it's constantly changing, which means I'm always stuck. And because of the age of my computer, it's like a 5 minutes kicking the heels every time. What does people want in a car? So Radar says, wow, I can't imagine MegaMek not sharing data like it does now. It sounds like ass. It was ass. It was ass and big duties. It was just awful. Like, the new system is objectively better. But it's still annoying. Do I have anything approved that we can just merge in? Hammer says, just wait and see if text does a single repo. That would be amazing. Because right now, if I head back over to IntelliJ, which is still doing IntelliJ things, the way it works is, let me back out this. We have MegaMek, MegaMek Lab, MekHQ, and MegaMek Data. And these are essentially 4 different programs with 4 different GitHub repositories. What we're talking about is just flattening them down so that we all use the same repo. And because basically all the code more or less exists every time you launch MekHQ anyway. So why not have it set up so that we're only needing to maintain the one place? And the benefit there is that would open the doors for us moving away from trunk development. And very, very briefly while we're waiting, how trunk development works, how MegaMek's development cycle currently works. We can't patch. We have no patching abilities. We did a 49.19.1 once, and it was awful. It was so bad. Like, getting the 0.1 release out for 49.19.1 was awful. And that's why we've never done it since. And being able to move to a system where we can launch patches so that we don't have a situation where you have one bug that breaks a release, just brick the release for the foreseeable next few months. We could actually launch a patch, maybe even with a launcher that you could just click a button and automatically update. Like, having a single repo opens up so many options. But unfortunately, we just don't have the technology there, and the amount of effort required to make it happen is substantial. Truly substantial. Yeah, no, Radar's drooling over the possibility that MegaMek gets a patcher. Yeah, no, I would love that. That, as a developer, I don't even care about you guys, like, in this particular area. As a developer, I would love that so much. It would make our lives better, and more importantly, I say I don't care about you guys, but more importantly, it would mean that we can deliver a better quality product to you, because it means that you're not looking at a situation where a bug is sitting on your hard drive for 4+ months. It's 4+ days. Welcome to StratCon, that's nice, go away. Radar says, yeah, because there are some bugs in MegaMek right now that would be perfect hot fixes. Yeah. Yeah, no, and we just don't have the tools to do it, because this was a project that was made like 25 years ago. We need to add a drop shipperino. Let's go for a leopard. Let's go for a union. And let's go for a mammoth. Okay, now let's accept a contract. Radar's asking how old Hammer is. So what we need to do now is just make sure that in digital DMs we have the player uses dropships. Okay, cool. So now let's advance and see if we can trigger a scenario. Okay, we have triggered it. So, here is the moment of truth. Get rid of these so we can view it. So we have a scenario spawning. It is not player or fixed unit count. Okay. So we can continue. It's the op4, continue. Reinforcements, continue. Dropship, here we go. So dropship is player or fixed unit count, okay. We are calculating how many units. Looks like unit equals 1, good. So we know that these are all returning correct. So let's get rid of these breakpoints. We don't need to care about these anymore. Okay. So we're finding potential units. And explicit force ID is -1, so it should return all the potential units. Getting 26 potential units. We're now moving into vetted units. So far, so good. We are getting exactly what we need. So we have the scenario location is... we'll come back to that. Tell me a second. Okay, it is all ground terrain. So we currently have 26 potential units. So we're not going to worry too much about each of these, I don't think. Okay, Smash Truck we don't care about. Vulcan we don't care about. Cadaver, Hercules. Hercules. So what we're looking for is what happens when we hit one of our dropships. Okay, then we now hit one of our dropships. It is a valid unit, so vetted units now contains a union. Sherpa, Chameleon, Foot, Commando. Bit truck. Okay, the Leopard is now in vetted units. So vetted units now contains 2 units. And Mammoth makes it free. So we know now that all units are being added to vetted units correctly. So let's move on to the next stage. Okay, we want 1 unit, and we have vetted unit size of 3. Okay, so we want a random vetted unit. In this case, it is the Union. And then the benching happens. So we know this is all going to be correct. So let's break out of here. Ah, this is a mistake. So we should stop here because we're about to add 3 units. Not what I wanted. If vetted units. It's empty, break. Okay, so I'm going to relaunch MekHQ. And we're just waiting for MekHQ to boot up, but I think we might at least can prove this bug either is fixed or it is not in effect. And we won't have to build the data files this time. So last time I picked a union. We may need to run this a couple of times just to make sure it's not going to pick the same one every time. There we go. Okay, and we can load our last campaign, which is good because you know there's going to be a scenario the next day. It says they're not brave enough to go into design discussions. I love the MegaMek community. I will say the discussions that seem to constantly boil down to nothing else matters because you can just nuke it are very tiresome. Okay, so we get 1 unit. Vetted units have 3. We fetch out a mammoth. So we already know this is not happening, not doing the exact same unit every time. Because we got another. There we go, and it breaks. So we head out to here, and if we go to the briefing room, and we can see that. Interesting. It has not added our dropship to the scenario. I must have removed something that I shouldn't have. Okay, let's come out of here. Well, the good news is we are now definitely fetching different units. So let's just see what changes we've made and see if we can spot what the issue is. Yeah, we're just missing the add unit part. There we go. Okay, that fixes that bug. Now, here is an area where I am going to try and generate some unit tests here because I really don't like how often this is going to break. So let's see if we can get Claude to or ChatGPT to do something for us. Let's see if we can get anything useful out of this. Because this definitely needs to be tested. This has been an ongoing problem so many times. Okay, let's see if this test is even remotely usable. Actually, I'm going to do something better. I am going to ask Hammer to create some tests for this. Because Hammer has access to fancy Claude, and the tests it writes are significantly better than the shit that I just got given. What am I looking for? MekHQ, there we go. Did I push it? I'm guessing I didn't push it. Oh, I just, yeah, no, I didn't push it. Let's try it again. And over to Safari. There we go. By all accounts, this bug should not have been happening. However, it clearly was. But now it isn't. There we go. And then let's add an AI disclosure. I always like to do the AI disclosure. We're not technically required to by our AI policy, but I like to include it. And it's bug campaign option in StratCon. Do we have anything for unit? We don't care about. And AI assisted. There we go. So let me just send this over to Hammer so Hammer can work their magic. There we go. I am beat. Wow. I just realized how croaky my voice is. This has been an incredibly tough day. Let's do some reviews. Let's do some code reviews. I need to let my brain chill. Hannah says, hang on for a couple more minutes. Oh, exciting news, exciting news. Hammer, by the next couple of minutes, do you mean within the next half hour, or? Let's see, so it's up on the website. Oh, how about, friends, rather than me doing work, how about we go to the MegaMek official website? Boop. See if I can try and find a way to backdoor my way in here. It's not going to let me. So I'm trying to. Yeah. Hammer, if you want to be cheeky and send me a link to the website article that's not yet published, I would be happy to have it a read-through. But until then, let's go back to our code reviews. So this is Hawk. Hawk has been doing some amazing stuff recently. So let's have a look what they're doing here. Okay. DM'd, thank you. Let's see here. See if I can access this. Hammer, you linked me to the release of 51.0 blog post. Yeah, that's the old one. that's we've already done that one. That's come and gone. Yeah, it's still uploading. Okay, well, let's go back to my code reviews then. So let's see here. They're going through and updating target roles. It's very nice. I approve. So this is a hard-coded string. This should be in a resource bundle. However, Hawk likes to keep things very focused on their PRs. So I'm just going to make a comment here saying, hey, this should be in a resource bundle, but I know you like to keep focused. But so Hawk has been doing truly amazing things recently. I'm really, really happy with the work that they've been putting out. And I'm just seeing what they're doing here. Oh, I like the nullable tag. Nullable tag's good. So this tells me that this could possibly be null. Oh, I see what they're doing. So what they're doing is updating our acquisitions code. And what they are about to do is very cool. Yeah, cool. They have just cleaned this right up. I wasn't expecting to find anything wrong here, so this is going to be a approve, and we're going to merge it. There we go. Hammer has done it. So let's go up to MegaMek, and there it is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and those between, 51.0, it's a milestone. So that's right, you heard it here. 51.0 is now officially a milestone. So let's have a read, shall we? It's official. After its time out in the wild, version 51.0 has earned its milestone designation. Released back in June, blah, 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 51.0 was our biggest development push in a long while, and we're happy to report that it's held up well enough to become 51.0 milestone. This is also the first milestone to run on our new Java 21 baseline. That's the single most important thing in this post. So before you do anything else, read the technical section below. If you're moving up from an older release, you need to upgrade Java to run this one. Heads up, we've repackaged the release with data fixes. This is really important. As part of the milestone designation, we've repackaged 51 with some data fixes. If you downloaded 51 between date 1 and yesterday and want those fixes, you can re-download the release using the links to the bottom of this post. Unzip it into its own folder and transfer your saves across. Do not unzip it to your existing folder. What a milestone actually is. You get asked this a lot, so here's the short version. Every release we put out is a tagged development. We retired the old stable label years ago. The next build we'd ever call truly stable is version 1.0, which is currently slated for sometime before the end of the century. Milestone is also not a separate kind of build, and it isn't return as stable. It's a development release that has proven itself. The process works like this. I can summarize it. Basically, the way the process works is we launch a development release, and if it turns out to be good, we announce it that it's a milestone. While 51 made the cut, we honest with you the way we always try to be. When 51.0 shipped, we told you to expect some rough edges. A brand new Java baseline, plus over 400 pull requests across the suite is a lot of changes to absorb at once, and we said as much at release. Over the observation period, it held up. A couple of features remain more beta than the rest, Frank and Mech construction in particular, especially exactly as we flagged on day 1, but the core experience across 3 programs has proven stable. For everyone who's been waiting on a solid anchor point on the new Java baseline, this is the one to move to. And we're just going to recap some of the cool stuff. Data licensing canonicity. Okay, here we go with the known issues. Infantry no longer respects a unit's cargo infantry compartment capacity. Jump infantry not dismounting from VTOL. Artillery and direct fire against VTOLs is missing the attacker movement modifier. Edge is being used more than once on blackout checks, and a custom dropship shows as light damage even in the best conditions. MegaMek Lab, primitive mechs currently cannot be loaded. MekHQ, the curse of blandness. Every newly generated character arrives with a 5 in every attribute and no traits. This is a strictly worse Thanos snap where everybody comes out perfectly balanced, as all things should be. While we put a concerted effort to fix some of the system oddities, some existing system errors may still remain. We'll continue to work through them. That's basically it. We're now talking about some of the cool new stuff coming. MekHQ, of course, we're getting multiple campaign locations. This is coming in the future. This is not coming in this milestone release. My God, no, it is not. But here's where we're going. We've got multiple campaign locations. We had to run multiple locations on a single campaign. Yes, that means 2 regiments sitting in 2 different systems. A full contract system rewrite. Well, you guys are all very aware of that. Greg, you guys know what Greg is, the generic random event generator. And the old personnel markets are being removed. MegaMek, we've got some infantry and engineers. Both have seen substantial work this cycle. Disposable weapons are now in, and every engineering type except center engineers has been implemented, so field works, trench works, and mines can all be set up. You can even set up field works pre-game right in the lobby. Princess and engineers. As part of writing, Princess doesn't support engineers, but we are looking into giving her some engineering smarts. Princess and artillery. The bot control panel is getting improvements, including finer control over how Princess handles artillery. So you can tell her exactly what ammo to fire and what hexes to target. She's got new glasses, so her artillery fire against you is more accurate as well, though fast units will slip out from under it. And there's a few other surprises. Okay, so here's another important one. BattleTech core rules and the old ones. You're probably wondering about the new rules. We will be implementing the upcoming BattleTech core rules tabletop rule set in its entirety with the exception of battlefield support. As we said before, we will do our best to keep the old rules around while we add the new ones. The new rules will become default and the old rules will move to options. That said, we want to be straight with you. This is an almost 25-year-old program and its tech debt is strong. We don't yet know whether or which old rules might be affected. There's a real chance some will have to be removed, especially when they conflict with the new rules and make maintaining both unworkable. We're a small volunteer team and can only do so much, and our priority has always been to support the most current rule set. Across 25 years, MegaMek has weathered a lot of rules change, and you can look back and see where we've protected rules and where we've let them go. And then the next section I'm not going to walk you through. Basically, if you're upgrading your Java version, read the critical bit. And thank you as always for playing, testing and reporting. A milestone only happens because enough of you put in the release for its paces and told us what you found. Move up when you're ready, keep those backups, and we'll see you on the battlefield. So here's something that I want to really want to emphasize. Now, Hammer does touch on it here, but I want to be very, very clear with you folks. Let me have some water, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be clear about, because this is something that we're going to need to be really honest with ourselves about. Okay, so serious Illiani time. No joking, no silliness. 51.01 is going to be a mess. 51.02 is probably going to be a mess. I don't know about 51.03. Everybody needs to be honest and open with themselves about how much capacity they have to put up with bugs. We are about to embark on some fundamental changes in MekHQ, some truly fundamental changes, and they are going to produce a lot of bugs. It is entirely possible that you may not see 51.01 until early fall. It might even be later than that. Be prepared to sit on 51.0 milestone for several months. Like, several months. The stuff that we're doing right now is not going to go smoothly. There are going to be some serious bugs, and it is entirely possible that there may be game-breaking bugs, campaign-killing bugs. Using my full contract rewrite as an example, I am going to have to take your campaign and translate all of your existing contracts and missions and against the bot contracts and move them over into the new system. If I screw up even a single line, I could completely eliminate your entire campaign history. Hammer's saying that I wouldn't be surprised to see 51.0 sit as a milestone until early 2027. I agree. No, I really, really do agree. And this is something we as a development team are going to be very open with you guys about. We are not expecting another release of the quality of 51.0 for a while. So strap yourselves in, get comfortable, test out the new releases when you're feeling ready. Consider, even if you're like, oh no, I don't really like bugs, you can have 2 copies of MegaMek on your account at any time. You can download 51.0 milestone and you can live on there for your real campaign. And then you're like, oh, a new release has come out, I want to see what this new stuff is, how it works. You download a new copy, you do not move over your old campaign, and you just have a fancy round. You play a contract or 2. See how some of the new stuff like the multiple campaign systems work. Have a play around. But if you are the kind of player who would quit the game because your campaign was destroyed, okay, and I'm not being hyperbolic here, if I fuck up on the multiple on the contract rewrite, I will brick your campaign. And if that is a campaign you've been playing for the past 10 years, that is gone. Okay, I don't usually, it's very rare I'm this serious. The stuff that we are doing right now is going to place us in an incredibly strong position for the future. Multiple campaign locations, Greg, the generic random event generator, a complete contract rewrite so it doesn't play like a system that was designed 15 years ago. These are very, very cool things. But a single fuck up, a single mistake can brick a campaign permanently, unrecoverably. And even if the campaign doesn't brick, it could completely wipe out unit records, personnel, contract history. If you are the kind of player, if something like that happened, you would want to quit the game, stay on 51.0 milestone. Do not go to 51.1. If you want to try the new stuff in 51.1, download a second copy of MegaMek, have a play around in a campaign you don't care about. Tell us about the bugs so we can fix them, please. But yeah, for your main campaigns, the campaigns you actually care about, stay on 51.0 milestone for a while. Just the last thing anyone, I keep punching my mic, my mic rather. The last thing any of us want to happen is for your campaigns to be ruined. What we're doing is going to completely revolutionize how MekHQ is played with. Completely revolutionize it. But any revolution has casualties. And I do not want your campaign to be among them. So, that's serious Illiani time. Serious Illiani time. Back to silliness. You dare refuse my Bachao? Whatever. But yeah, so on that note, I think it's we're pretty good to be ending off. Let's do one last review. This is all good. Let's merge that. Shazam. Refuse my what? Exactly. Let's just get the reasoning sorter. This is super simple. Just updating the sorter. This is good. Yeah, no problems here. Oh, that's a good idea. So this is basically using object equals. It's saying, are these two the same thing? But object equals includes null protection. So if one of these is null, it's not going to break everything. That's cool. I like that. That's a good idea. And this is just being removed. Cool. That's good enough for me. Let's get this merged in. Because Hawk's been doing so good stuff. I really like to try and get their stuff merged in as quickly as possible. Especially as they prefer to do small PRs incrementally. I don't want their stuff to get backlogged. But yeah, on that point, I do think, well, I'm going to let you all go and play 51.0 milestone. The usual stuff. If you aren't already, please consider hitting the follow button. If you're feeling particularly spicy, there's always subscribe, but there's never any, you never need to. But all funds raised through subscriptions are going directly to funding a replacement computer for my very, very old Mac Mini. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and consider coming and checking us out when we go live on Twitch. When do we go live? We go live 5 times a week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And of course, Friday evening is the Scrotorious Bastards. If you haven't already, you'll find a link to our Discord down in the links place where links live. Come and join us. We hang out between streams. We share stories about MegaMek adventures and just generally chill and hang out. But yeah, I think that's a lot. I think that's it from me today. It's been a very, very busy day, a very heavy day, requiring a lot of brain thinks. And my brain don't think too well. So I think I'm going to head away, might go find myself a sandwich or something. So until until Thursday, because we don't stream on Wednesdays. That's my time. So on Thursday, I will catch you up. We'll probably be continuing to do some work on the contract rewrite. Maybe a little bit of Greg. I think tomorrow I'm going to write the Greg guide for the writers so that they can write Greg stuff for me. But yeah, thank you to everybody who came and checked us out today. And I will see you on Thursday. Toodles!